Comatose, good to see how you doing. How you been? You're the first one in today. Camel, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Manny, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? How's everyone doing today? Good, bad, just starting out depending on where you are. Morning, Miles of CMF. Shelly, good to see you. How you doing? Morning. So, let's do a gist of what we're going to go from tonight's live show. By that time, when we do the gist, intro, disclaimer, everyone's tuned in for the first part. Pure, good to see you. How you doing? Evening, how you been? Sorry for the newsletter I sent on Telegram. I know you like to read. Camel, no, I opened your message. I still haven't read it. I'll read it after the live show. Even Miles on CMF, happy Friday to you all. Joe's, good to see you. How you doing? Happy Friday, brother. So, but Camel, after the live show, I'll read it and give you my response. G, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Let us know the scoop, definitely. So, these are the topics we are going to be going for on tonight's live show. We're going to be talking about BlackRock first. So we're going to go through BlackRock's perspective on the market space because we are going into some sort of a news of rate cuts. Even though the Fed keeps on stretching the news on rate cuts of are we going to have it, are we not going to have it, are we going to have a heavy rate cut situation or a soft landing. So we're going to go for a perspective this time around from BlackRock because we've had quite a lot of perspectives from CEOs and directors of companies, but this is a good one from BlackRock. So we're going to go through that. We're also going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show of an interesting situation that's just happened, which is the SEC has somehow, some way came out and you could say apologized for the way they treated the crypto space. Because, so once we get into the news, I'll let you know what I mean exactly. But the SEC apparently caused, in their words, confusion inside the crypto space by calling crypto assets securities. So Gary Gensler apparently made a mistake and he admitted to it. We're also going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding Galaxy Research's perspectives on the banking situation, because how banks, due to essentially the SAB 121 law or act, banks have a difficulty of holding crypto assets due to the SEC and Gary Gensler pressuring banks the same way they pressure the crypto space on holding crypto assets. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well, and how apparently Gary Gensler and the SEC decided to be a bit more lenient. We're also going to go through on tonight's live show regarding a perspective coming from a $360 billion asset manager. Jonas Henderson has came out and said that Wall Street needs to go headfirst into the crypto space. We're also going to go on tonight's live show regarding the news of Binance. That Binance has decided to come out with an article, essentially, of their point of view of tokenized real-world assets, where the market space is going to go to, how the market space is going to move forward, and so on. So we're going to go through Binance's perspective on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to go through Donald Trump news. As we all know, that Donald Trump his son has been working on a crypto project, which we're going to go through on tonight's live show, which is very soon going to be announced. If I'm not mistaken, it's around the 16th. It's going to be announced of this month. We're also going to go from tonight's live show regarding Tether news and how Tether has just hired PayPal Government Affairs ACE, as the US is apparently starting to look into Tether. So Tether is feeling the heat from the United States because now they're hiring people that used to work for PayPal, that essentially to fend off the US government. We're also going to talk about the godmother of AI. Now, we've talked about the godfather of AI on this live show before. The godfather of AI is a man that's worked on essentially pretty much any legitimate big AI corporation. And therefore, he's known as the godfather of AI. And on tonight's live show, we're going to be talking about the godmother of AI. She's someone that used to work and essentially in the AI departments of Google. And now she has her own company. She's raised quite a lot of money for her company, seed money, around about $230 million. And she's designed her own AI modules, which we're going to go through on tonight's live show. We're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy. They've just repurchased a heavy amount of Bitcoin again at these prices. We're also going to go from tonight's live show regarding Australian news, regarding the Bitcoin ETF in Australia, which was launched not that long ago, on essentially how has it done so far. We're also going to go through Ripple news on tonight's live show as well. So yesterday, Grayscale announced that they're doing a XRP trust line, which is amazing because next, what essentially happens is an ETF. It's just how things work with Grayscale. And we're going to go through a perspective that Brad has given on this matter. We're also going to talk about Ripple on tonight's live show as well. Again, towards the end, a piece that's just been released from Ripple on their movement so far. So Ripple talks about how they're bridging the gap in the finance world. We're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. And this actually came from Ripple themselves. We're also going to talk about the International Monetary Fund on tonight's live show as well. They've released a surprising statement. So quite a mixture of news to go from on tonight's live show regarding Ripple news, International Monetary Fund news, real world asset news. One of the biggest Wall Street heads is now telling other Wall Street heads to get involved inside the crypto space because everything around you is about to become digital. So also things that I've said in the past, but now being repeated by Wall Street heads that I've never met in my life, and they've never met me in my life. So before we go through the news on tonight's live show, the first news is regarding BlackRock news. Welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the CMF Live Show, stands for Crypto Miles Family. And on this live show, tune in every single night. I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. This is episode 155 of the CMF Live Show. You can tune in UK time, 11:25, 11:30 p.m. into this live show every single night. We are live right now on X and YouTube, as always, as we are every single night. And we also do Q&As on this live show as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have, or CMF members can even answer them for you inside the comment section. The disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and what advice is only for entertainment purposes. And I would also like to say thank you so much to everyone that's been retweeting this live show and putting comments on this live show as well. And also liking this live show. So I'm getting notifications from X. So thanks so much to everyone that's been retweeting and liking the live show right at the beginning and putting comments on the video as well. Thanks so much to everyone on YouTube that's also been liking the video as well. So before we go for the first news, which is regarding BlackRock news, let's go inside the comment section. And if you're new, welcome. If you're regular, let's go CMF. Before we go for the BlackRock news, let's go inside the comment section first. G, good to see you as well. How you doing? JP, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Evening, Miles on family. Ian, good to see you as well. How you doing? It's fine, brother. Not in a hurry. What's that cheeky smile hiding today? What's that cheeky smile? Even Miles of CMF. Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? You know I value your opinion a lot, boss. Let's go, Camel. Happy Pisces, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Even Miles of CMF. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing? They had to set because they were wrong. They had to state it because they were wrong, which is facts. Hey, Miles, happy to see you again. Can you provide us with the streaming schedule? Yes, I can. Jordan TV Pro, how you doing? Good to see you again. So I go live every single day on YouTube and X around UK time, so British summer time, in other words, 11:25, between 11:25 and 11:30 p.m. So if you tune in 11:30 p.m. UK time, you'll be in this live show. So 11:30 p.m. UK time, you can tune into this live show every single night. Sometimes I go 11:25, but if you tune in at 11:30, you're pretty much in the live show. But good to see you, brother. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hey, Miles. Nooks, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Lena, greetings, Miles CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Lena? Hi, Miles. All in CMF. Can't wait for another great night of information. Let's go, Addy. How you doing? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? George, hi, Miles of CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Kelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Max, good to see you as well. How you doing? Kerry, how you been? Okay, first news, BlackRock. So, the rate cut situation inside the United States is becoming slightly a story that keeps on getting stretched by the Fed. The Fed was supposed to come out last Friday and tell us if they're doing rate cuts, but they stretched the story again. Every Friday, they're supposed to be coming out and giving us some sort of information. And they keep on saying we might be going into rate cuts, but never assuming when. But now we have a BlackRock perspective to go through as well. So BlackRock's cautions essentially on interest rate cuts, while crypto ETF investments continue to rise. In this movement, BlackRock is doing all right for themselves, even though we're waiting for, are we going to have rate cuts or not? BlackRock predicts that essentially significant interest rate cuts may not materialize, as anticipated in the market. In a recent note, Gene Bullivan, the head of institution strategy team, highlighted the reassurance of recession fears due to negative developments in economic data and the impact of investors realizing profits. Additionally, the uncertainties surrounding the upcoming US elections have been noted as contributing factors to the situation as well. Interest rates and inflation. Bullivan forecasts that although inflation may approach Fed's targets in the short term, persistently high inflation in the medium term will limit the interest rate cuts. This forecast has led to a decline in 10 years Treasury yields to essentially their lowest levels in 15 months. As market prices are incredibly aggressive, interest cuts, investors expect more than 100 basis points of cuts by year end and approximately 240 basis points over the next 12 months. Asset managers and crypto investments. Despite these warnings, many asset managers continue to invest in high-risk assets, particularly cryptocurrencies. Ryan from Bitwise reports that investment advisors allocate 6% of their portfolios into crypto ETFs, with 4% into Bitcoin and 2% Ethereum. Markets, without discarding BlackRock's assessment, anticipated a reduction in rates to 3.5% within the next 6 months. Strong recovery in Bitcoin ETFs. Spot Bitcoin ETFs are attracting investments again. Despite previous negative reactions and skepticism, Eric, the Bloomberg specialist, ETF specialist, emphasizes the resilience of spot Bitcoin ETFs, noting that these investment vehicles have seen a return of cash inflows. Vehicles have seen a return of cash inflows on the last day of trading. Net inflows were recorded around $39 million US. With only one day showing net outflows this week, so which means essentially it's good to go regarding ETFs so far in the space. BlackRock caution stance on interest rate cuts does not align with market expectations. This disparity appears to discourage investors and asset managers' interest in high-risk assets. While crypto ETFs continue to draw investment and in-market fluctuations, the expectations of limited interest rate cuts seems poised to influence investment strategies. The trajectory of inflation remains a crucial factor in the Fed's decision-making process. Okay, do you know what the interesting part is about BlackRock's perspective and Bitwise's perspective? Bitwise's perspective was pretty much spot on. BlackRock's perspective is the interesting one because BlackRock is trying to warn their investors or anybody else that's listening to BlackRock that we could be heading towards major rate cuts that could put some recession fears back into the markets and so on, and that people should not be going towards risky assets. Meanwhile, BlackRock ETFs are still doing incredibly well. BlackRock is still expanding themselves within the crypto space, within the blockchain space, AI space. So BlackRock is still doing investments in risky assets. In their words, they're still doing investments in risky assets. Their ETFs are still growing in value. But BlackRock is trying to tell everybody else, don't get involved inside the crypto space because it's too risky right now and the market can go sideways. If the market can go sideways in BlackRock's perspective, then why isn't BlackRock slowing down either? Because think about it like this. If I, for example, if a regular person inside the retail section buys, let's just say if BlackRock is trying to look after the everyday average person. Let's say the average day person puts $20 into crypto. If that $20 goes, it's $20, which means, yes, it's risky, but not that much. If BlackRock puts 50 million into an asset and it goes sideways, that's a $50 million loss. So who's at more risk? So why is BlackRock telling everybody else we could be heading towards a recession? However, on the other side, BlackRock is still expanding their reach in risky assets and their words. And I'm not saying crypto assets are not risky. Of course they are. Every asset type is risky. Every asset carries some sort of a risk. Stock market carries some up to a certain extent of risk. Crypto assets carries up to a certain extent of risk. But BlackRock is telling everybody else, it's too risky, don't enter, we could be heading towards a recession. While in the meantime, their ETF is still doing excellent. They're still essentially investing into their build fund. They're still investing into tokenizations. Aren't those risky for BlackRock? Because the average day person will lose $20 to $100. BlackRock could lose $100 million, $500 million. So it's the way they tell the retail section on what to do, but they do something else. It's almost like a hypocrite. A hypocrite will tell you to do certain thing when that person isn't doing it themselves. Is basically what BlackRock is in this scenario. And I'm not saying don't ever listen to BlackRock. Listen to BlackRock. Listen to what they have to say. Look at what their movements are. But take it with a pinch of salt. Because they're telling everybody else, it's too risky. We're going to a recession. Don't jump in. While they're still expanding their build fund, they're still expanding on their ETF market space. They're still getting more ETFs across other countries. While telling the retail section, too risky, don't jump in. Because the retail section could lose what? $100? BlackRock could lose $500 million. So listen to them, but take them with a pinch of salt is what I would say. Now, the next news we're going to cover on tonight's live show is a news that you could say is one of the particular news I've been waiting for, and I think everybody's been waiting for inside the crypto space. If you are inside the crypto space, there is one common enemy. Everybody inside the crypto space has one common person they pretty much hate. Hate might be a strong word, but we'll see. Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is a man that, in his words, is doing good for the crypto space. In reality, he's ruining the crypto space. It's pretty much what it is. Gary Gensler seems to have eaten his own words, because the SEC apparently, well, here's the thing. Coinbase's CLO calls out SEC for backtracking on crypto asset definition. We all know what the definition is when Gary Gensler speaks on crypto assets: securities, 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 or unregistered securities. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has seemingly tracked back on previous statements, suggesting that crypto assets themselves are securities. This retraction comes aimed at the agency's ongoing legal case against Binance, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. The SEC regrets confusion caused by wording. Attention, the SEC shift, this is from the CLO of Binance, sorry, the CLO of Coinbase, Paul in other words. Attention to the SEC's shift was drawn by Paul, the chief legal officer CLO in Coinbase. In it, the lawyer shared a screenshot of a footnote 6 in the regulator's amendment filing against Binance, where it explained that it was not labeling crypto assets as securities, but rather referring to the investment contracts around them. So, the SEC for a long time has been calling every single crypto asset a security, every exchange that sells crypto assets unregistered securities. It turns out in the Binance case, there's a small part in the Binance case where the SEC has written something, and it says that the SEC is not calling crypto assets securities, they're calling certain things around that particular crypto token that makes it a security. So they changed their words, because in Gary Gensler's words, XRP is security, Ethereum was for a time period security, Solana apparently is a security in the Coinbase case, Fire was a security in the Coinbase, but apparently none of these tokens are any more securities according to the SEC, because the SEC has eaten their own words. Now they're saying it's the characteristics around the token that could make it a security, but before it was, that's a security. So, further, the agency stated it regrets any confusion it may have invited over. The SEC is apologizing for confusion inside the market space. After all these years of frustration, ruining the entire space, calling everything a security, telling one particular judge on a news channel, I don't care what the judge's response is, it's a security. That was the XRP case. To now landing to, sorry for the confusion, it's the characteristics around the token that can make it a security, not the token itself. This update was significant given the term crypto asset securities, used heavily by the SEC, has been a point of contention in the watchdog's legal battle with the industry. Paul, the CLO of Coinbase, counterpart at Ripple, Stewart also essentially jumped in on this as well, this bandwagon. Stewart, who essentially is Ripple's CLO, has been outspoken critic of the SEC's language, which is true. Stewart has always been pointing out that Gary Gensler is using made-up words. Recently on social media, he slammed the agency for inventing the term crypto asset security, which Ripple's CLO essentially said it doesn't exist. Why is Gary Gensler making up his own words? Without any legal basis, it's fabricated the term with no legal foundation, Stewart said, accusing the regulator of misleading courts and the public. So Stewart has essentially said the SEC has been doing this for a while, and now we have the SEC coming out and saying, oh, we're sorry. Not everything is a security. We just meant things around the token make it a security, not the token itself. It's interesting how they didn't clarify that a long time ago. Binance accused of offshoring unregistered securities. Many within the crypto community have criticized the regulator over its inconsistent messaging, with some alleging that this deliberate part of its broader regulation by enforcement campaign. A case in point in the SEC's lawsuit against Binance, where the commission claims that the exchange offered unregistered securities to the public, including its native token BNB. It's also essentially accused the crypto companies of improper practices, such as compelling customers' assets and engaging in wash trading to inflate trading volumes through entities controlled by former CEO CZ. Despite the serious charges, the crypto exchange has consistently denied any wrongdoings, stating that user funds were never at risk, and that has always been essentially applied with legal requirements. So, turns out the SEC and Gary Gensler have, after all these years of wrongdoing inside the crypto space, calling every token possible a security with no explanation, just calling everything a security, suing them because they're securities, suing exchanges because they're selling unregistered securities, to now come after all this time and say, sorry for the confusion, the tokens are not securities, it's the characteristics around the token that make it a security. They couldn't say this in the Ripple case. I think Gary Gensler's lies are starting to catch up to him. Like yesterday, when everybody found out that Gary Gensler, on this live show, I revealed yesterday that Gary Gensler apparently is only hiring people that work for the SEC if essentially they share the same political view as Gary Gensler, which is political view and that all crypto assets are securities. That was yesterday. And that's basically market manipulation on your hiring process, which the US House of Governors have sent out an open letter yesterday requesting information from the SEC and Gary Gensler, and he has 24 to 72 hours to respond, if I'm not mistaken. So it's good. His lies are catching up to him. Also on topic of SEC. So the SEC has one particular law, which is the SAB 121 Act. The SAB 121 Act makes it very difficult for the banking space to hold crypto assets or hold client crypto assets, which means banks get a very hard time of coming inside the crypto space. And Gary Gensler was the one that did this to the banks. Some banks liked it, some banks didn't like it whatsoever. Elizabeth Warren loved the idea of the banks being restricted on crypto assets inside the United States. And Joe Biden actually said, if the House of Governors tried to go against the SEC Chairman Gary Gensler's SAB 121 Act, Joe Biden and his administration said they'll veto it, and that everybody should listen to Gary Gensler. By the way, this is the Kamala that everybody's trying to think to vote for, the same Kamala that was vetoing crypto innovation. The SEC softens stance around SAB 121. This Galaxy Research came up with this information. During a speech, Paul, the chief accountant for the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, appeared to backpedal on the SEC Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, SAB 121. It measures limiting banks from providing digital asset custody services to their clients, which most banks hate it, and they tried to get rid of it. But Joe Biden said, if you try to get rid of it, I'll veto it. So did the administration, because they said you need to listen to Gary Gensler. According to the analysis from Alexi Head Research, Alex Thorne, Paul provided exemption criteria that would allow banks holding companies and introducing brokers to be the loophole, the custody provision laid out. Banks can avoid the SAB 121 reporting requirements if they receive a written permission from the state regulators, custody client assets in a bankruptcy remote manner, outline clear standards and contracts, and conduct regular risk asset assessments. Introducing brokers can also exempt themselves from the SAB 121 requirements by meeting 3 criteria. The brokers cannot possess client private keys, cannot be third parties in transactions, and cannot be agents of introducing brokers. Lastly, the introduction broker must obtain a legal opinion assenting to its status as an exempt introducing broker of digital assets. Thorne explained that this exemption would carve out a ginormous portion of entities initially subject to reporting requirements introduced by SAB 121. However, large national banks, which are under the control of the Office of the Controller of Currencies, OCC, likely won't be able to qualify under the SAB 121 exemption and likely still have to appeal directly to the SEC if they want relief. Despite these limitations for large nationally chartered banks, the Galaxy head of research ultimately concluded that the easing of SAB 121 provision was a positive development for the crypto industry, and that adoption of digital assets can essentially continue forward inside the United States from banks. In a statement to Cointelegraph, Thorne explained that it's possible that the SEC never intended that the SAB 121 would apply to banks. He further explained, as banks become interested, the full scope of accounting standards become obvious, leading to a significant pushback on the SEC, but having dug in its heels over the years, it became politically difficult for the SEC to adjust this posture. These measures may also have been introduced pointedly to target the cryptocurrency industry and digital asset markets, Thorne opinionated. Staff Accounting Bulletin 121. The SEC first introduced SAB 121 back in 2022 and had begun to face a mounting pressure from US lawmakers to repeal the regulations by February 2024. In May, the United States House of Representatives elected to overturn the SEC's SAB 121 reporting rules by 46 votes. However, President Joe Biden vetoed the repeal. He claimed that repealing the SAB 121 would have undermined the SEC's effectiveness as a financial regulator. So the same Sleepy Joe and essentially the Biden administration, which is Kamala, VP Kamala and all that, and they vetoed it. They said they will veto it if you try to go against SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, who apparently is doing an excellent job in Sleepy Joe's eyes, if Sleepy Joe's awake. I mean, Sleepy Joe can't sit, stand, write, speak, but, you know, apparently he's all there. But banks can now essentially have a better access to crypto assets. Small and medium-sized banks, to be clarified, can have a better access to crypto assets. Small and medium-sized banks inside the United States can hold people's assets, but they're not allowed to keep their private keys, obviously. But banks can now hold people's crypto assets. The larger banks will have to still go through some sort of a jumping hoop to the SEC. But medium and small banks can now operate within the crypto space inside the United States, which is massive. And those banks are going to do excellently well, because people who can't access through big banks will now start using small and medium-sized banks, which is basically a loophole. Now, the next news we're going to go for on tonight's live show, but it's nice to see there's some leniency going on. The next news we're going to go for on tonight's live show is the $360 billion asset manager, Jonas Henderson, has decided to tell the entire Wall Street, everybody in Wall Street, to jump into the crypto space. This is coming from a $360 billion investment asset manager. So before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. By the way, this is a live show, so if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm reading everybody's questions one by one, giving short and sweet answers to go for everyone. And I love it when everybody gets involved inside the comment section, and we all live on YouTube and X. So either one you're watching from, put a comment down. So before we go for that next news, let's go inside the comment section first. What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Let's go, Max. Kerry. Good evening, Captain Miles. Funky brother. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Have I missed anything? I think you're joining at the beginning now. Michael Saylor just brought $1.1 billion with BTC. Yep, we're going to go through that news. Glenda, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? They are eating our cats. They are eating our dogs. They are eating our damn pets. I've been on the wrong chat. Don't do as I do. Do as I say, Miles. BlackRock. Basically, Ian, let's go. Hey, Miles of CMF. Bill, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Any XRP news? Did something happen? At the end of the live show, we're going to go through the Ripple news. Miles, did you been at the gym this morning? If it's not, you have a double. Lol. I have not been to the gym, no. Miles, did you? No, in the morning, no. Gary Gensler and Kamala should go and hold hands. They're on the same. Yes, they are. I'll be honest. Hi, Miles. Pablo, good to see you as well. How you doing? What's up, Miles and family? Happy Friday. Ray, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Peg, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good day, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing? So, Henderson. Jonas Henderson joins the push for blockchain takeover on Wall Street. The $360 billion asset manager, Jonas Henderson, has stepped into the ring with other Wall Street giants in the amusing movement towards blockchain technology. They're taking over the management of $11 million liquid treasury funds, which invest into short-term US Treasury bills. This fund has been tokenized. What does that mean? They're turning the fund's shares into digital tokens on the blockchain, essentially putting this money on the chain. You've probably heard the names before: BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton. These companies are already tokenizing treasuries and money markets. Jonas Henderson is now following their lead. But what's different here is that they're doing it through the British Virgin Islands based fund, which caters to non-US professional investors as well. Nick, the head of innovations at Jonas Henderson, said, "We need to be in a position for what's next." This is what they're telling Wall Street. They said to Wall Street, "We need to be in a position for what's next." The way I see it, huge parts of the financial system will likely move onto distributed ledger technology in the coming years. Why blockchain? Why now? Why the shift? It all boils down to a cost and efficiency. Blockchain offers a way to cut out the middleman and make financial products available to investors faster and cheaper. You can cut out a lot of steps, save on fees, and make the process smoother overall, said Sherry. It's more efficient way to get financial products to investors with fewer people involved. The CEO of Tableau Investment Management, the arm of Jonas Henderson, that will manage the fund, said essentially is struggling with the raising cost of investment industries. We've seen management fees fall drastically, but other costs haven't come down nearly as fast, he said. BlackRock might be the solution. Later also added that traditional structures struggle to bring costs down quickly enough, especially when so many people are involved in things like custody administration. Custody administration and even just holding assets, are labor intensive, an expensive process with lots of people involved. If you're one of the big custody providers, cutting costs is tough. Later pointed out, you can't just fire thousands of employees overnight. But with blockchain, you don't need third-party custodians, clearing houses, or other intermediaries. That's a lot of money saved for corporations. Trustless systems. This is where trustless decentralized blockchains come into play. Martin, the co-founder of Anime, claims that tokenization allows investors to trade units in the fund at any time, with settlements happening almost instantly. Anime has built a network of paid market makers and liquidity providers to make this work. Right now, the fund yields more than 5%, and its tokens can be used as collateral for other blockchain transactions. This is where things get interesting. These tokens, or Quensel puts it, offer an alternative to stablecoins like USDC and Tether. Stablecoins are pegged to the real-world assets like the US dollar, but they offer no yield. Tokens in this fund, however, yield more than 5%. So we're looking at a future where tokenized funds could rival stablecoins, especially since stablecoins have assumed a combined market capitalization of $170 billion. Anome is planning a second one, this time focusing on music-based intellectual properties. Anome's chief investment officer sees long-term potential here and thinks tokenization could even threaten the fast-growing ETF market space. Is tokenization coming for ETFs? Sud, who has a background in exchange-traded funds ETFs, believes that tokenization is a major threat to ETF industries. We've seen people convert mutual funds into ETFs, but in the future, mutual funds might skip ETFs altogether and go straight to digital tokens. And why not? The biggest names in finance are already on board. According to Sud, once these companies start talking to their clients about tokenization, it's game over for traditional mutual funds. Sherry agrees. He even sees this disruption as more significant than the rise of ETFs themselves. 20 years ago, only a few people really saw how ETFs would shake things up. Sherry said, now everyone gets it. And I think blockchain will be even more disruptive. Let's not forget the Bitcoin ETFs. On September 12th, they saw a net inflow of $39 million. Grayscale's GBTC had an outflow of $6.5 million, but others like ARKB saw a surge of $18.3 million in inflows. A summer note from Rosenbelt Securities shows that $9.5 billion has already been poured into Wall Street's digital infrastructure to handle assets like these. Apparently, Wall Street has a digital infrastructure program going on that they've never talked about, but this CEO has just revealed. They've poured $9.5 billion into a Wall Street digital infrastructure to handle crypto assets, blockchain assets. Compare that to all of 2020, and it's almost the same amount. Just in the first half of 2021, if the trend continues, the tokenizer estimates that up to $370 billion will be invested in tokenization infrastructure by the end of the year. $370 billion. Institutional adoption is happening fast, according to Vivek Shah, Managing Director at Rosenbelt Securities. We've entered a new phase in crypto, Shah said. It's all about institutional adoption now, which is factual. The next clientele entering the crypto space are already entering the crypto space or institutions. Not the retail section, institutions, which is where all the money is. It's all about the institutional adoption now. Hedge funds, family offices, banks, they're all getting involved. Real estate, NFTs, and beyond. Tokenization is coming for everything. Real estate, NFTs, arts, sports, you name it. Real estate in particular is moving quickly. Shah even believes it has the potential to become the next Bitcoin regarding real estate on tokenization. As Wall Street continues to push ahead, true blockchain believers are skeptical. The question remains, should these institutions get seriously into decentralized finance world or stick to the safer centralized blockchain-based systems? DeFi is all about autonomy. What if these guys start wanting control? We all know that Wall Street thrives on control. Stephen Ho, the head of digital assets at Standard Chartered Bank, said, full decentralization is unrealistic. We need some central authority to guarantee authenticity and proper use of assets. Still though, Standard Chartered Bank is betting on tokenization, expecting a market of about $30 trillion by 2034. They believe the future lies in the public's blockchain. Nana, the president of Matter Labs, thinks that public blockchains like Ethereum will ultimately dominate. Larger ecosystems will build on public blockchains, he said. BlackRock's USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund, BUILD, is also seeing success. Launched in March, the fund has pulled in roughly about $527 million. Permission-based or not, banks, asset managers, and even regulators are waking up to the potential of tokenization. Singapore's monetary authority is spearheading Project Guardian, bringing together 24 financial institutions to test asset tokenization use cases. JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Citigroup, Ant Group, and all. While Singapore's regulators remain cautious about cryptos that lack underlying backing, they're bullish on blockchain in general. Regardless, though, crypto is eventable. In other words, no matter what you do, it's going to happen. So that was multiple perspectives from extremely high-profile asset managers around the world. Multiple perspectives. And they were talking, these bullet points and these references that I was reading out from each CEO, they were talking to Wall Street. So this is what they were saying to Wall Street, in other words, of how we should be moving forward and how everything is about to become, digital, how everything's about to become tokenization, how tokenization could even go beyond ETF market spaces, how essentially everything is going to be in terms of finance market spaces, distributed ledger technology. So honestly, it's amazing to see where the thought pattern of Wall Street was Ponzi scheme, crypto is a Ponzi scheme, Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, so on, to now saying we need to go head first and everything is about to go digital. And then also revealing that essentially Wall Street has a $9.2 billion investment fund for their digital asset platform. So amazing to see the progress. And what is factual, everything they've said is pretty much factual. But what is factual is that Wall Street I was going to say something, but I'm not saying. No, what is factual is everything around them is going to become digital. But in general, amazing news. Absolutely incredibly amazing news. Coming out of Wall Street, the most wealthiest people on this planet pretty much are all up in Wall Street. So, moving on from Wall Street perspective and what Wall Street should do next, and the Wall Street fund that nobody knew about, and now you do, to Binance news. But staying on the topic of tokenized real-world asset market space, because Binance also decided to give their perspective on tokenization. Tokenized real-world asset market surpasses $12 billion, led by US Treasuries. The market for tokenized real-world assets, excluding stablecoins, has surged past $12 billion, according to Binance. This growth is largely known by tokenized US Treasuries, with significant participation from major financial institutions, such as BlackRock and Franklin Templeton, according to Binance research reports. This total essentially excludes the $175 billion stablecoin market, which remains separate from real-world assets. Tokenization is a division of traditional liquidity assets, such as real estate, government bonds, and commodities, into friction, making them more accessible to a wider range of investors. It also streamlines the process like record keeping and settlements, potentially transforming the trade and management of assets in traditional finance. The market value of tokenized US Treasury funds alone has exceeded $2.2 billion, according to the reports. BlackRock's Bill Treasury product leads the category of nearly $520 million in assets, followed closely by Franklin Templeton's with $434 million. This milestone was achieved in less than 5 months after the market reached $1 billion late March, according to that report. The US interest rates. The report noted essentially that the report noted that the elevated US interest rates have been a key factor in the expansion of tokenized treasuries, offering yields that attract investors seeking stable returns. However, the Binance research report noted that the impending rate cuts from the Federal Reserve could reduce the appeal of yield-bearing instruments like tokenized treasuries. Even so, the firm indicated that significant reductions in the rates would necessarily maturely impact demand. Other forms of real-world assets. In addition to treasuries, the Binance research report explored other segments of on-chain real-world asset markets, including private credit, tokenized commodities, and real estate. The tokenized private credit market is valued at approximately $9 billion, but it still represents only 0.4% of the $2.1 trillion globally in private credit markets. Although the on-chain private credit market is only worth around 0.4% of this $9 billion, it has been growing and active loans are up by 56% over the past year. Binance research, the risk of real-world assets. Despite this growth, Binance research highlighted the several risks associated with real-world assets. First, real-world asset protocols often lean towards centralization due to their regulatory requirements, raising concerns about control and transparency. They also rely heavily on off-chain intermediaries for asset custody, which adds a layer of third-party dependency. The complexities of these systems can sometimes outweigh the yields they generate, the report stated, leading to questions about whether the returns justify the operational challenges. Additionally, privacy and compliance remain key issues, with zero-knowledge technology emerging essentially as a promising tool for balancing regulatory demands and user autonomy, which is facts. Look, regarding real-world assets, yes, they have one major common issue, which is real-world assets will eventually become too centralized. And that's only because majority of people that are going to be in real world assets are going to be, you know, essentially finance heads. They're going to be Wall Street and executives and CEOs and so on. Retail section won't be too much into real world assets if they're smart enough, which is, you know, real world assets is something that I think everybody should look into. When it gets closer and closer to that stage where we're more into real world assets, everybody should start looking into it and going into tokenization. 100% should definitely look into it. But the majority of people won't. The same way the majority of people don't care about crypto from the retail section. Whereas the banks are loving the idea of being able to send cross-border payments or be able to do tokenizations. Institutions love it. The banks love it. Retail section, the majority of the retail section couldn't care less. Hence why the majority of the retail section will always stay where they are in life, because they don't like to think above. They're just happy of where they are. But regarding real world assets and tokenization, yes, they're going to become heavily centralized because the client base of real world assets, majority of them are going to be, you know, CEOs and executives and board members and Wall Street heads and finance heads. And they like safety nets. With DeFi space, there's not much of a safety net. There's transparency in DeFi space, 100% transparency, but not much of a safety net that they're used to, which is if things go south, somebody needs to get sued, which is what they essentially work on. In DeFi, if anything goes south, you can't sue anyone. But if it becomes centralized, it means that it has to operate and function as it says so on the manual, which means if it ever goes south, somebody's getting sued. And their money is safe in some sort of a way. But in DeFi, they can't guarantee that. Which is why, you know, regarding real world assets, yes, it might be of a drawback of centralization, but that's just because the client base on real world assets as we move forward is going to be those types of clients, which those types of clients need regulations and process. But they bring all the money to the table. If you think about it as well, in that perspective, they bring all the money to the table. So if you work alongside them, as in you come into the pot, when they come into the pot, you're good. And the only drawback is centralization of real world assets. Not saying there's not going to be DeFi and DeFi real world assets. There's obviously going to be DeFi real world assets, but the bigger ones are going to be centralized. The ones that keep on maturing over time. The lucrative ones that go spiking heavily up is going to be most likely in the DeFi space, where the risk is just going to be through the sky, but the rewards also going to be through the sky as well. Good day, Miles of CMF. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? Is the start of the bull run? New, but it's a good start. Don't say it if the lights are going to go out. Mike is referring to when I was about to say something. Sometimes I say things regarding CBDCs and some other matters, and then somehow it cuts off and I come back on. But anyways, Donald Trump, not to go more into that. Donald Trump, his son, as we all know, is building the next finance category, the next finance platform to go up against banks and traditional banking system. And Donald Trump is obviously supporting his son in all of his endeavors. So Donald Trump to launch crypto platform World Liberty Financials. Now here we're going to go a little bit of a step-by-step of what's going to be happening on the progress and when it's going to be released. Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, has announced that this cryptocurrency venture, World Liberty Financial, will launch on Monday, September 16th. In a video that was uploaded on his essentially own platform on X, Trump stated that it will go live on X to introduce the platform to the world, which will then be run by his son, Donald Jr. and Eric Trump. Notably, the project seeks to adapt decentralized finance technologies and put traditional banking to the test. With his announcement, Trump has taken a major step in his relationship with the cryptocurrency sector. World Liberty Financial's features and vision. Coincidentally, World Liberty Financial promises a number of DeFi services. This consists of a system of credit accounts, a digital wallet for storing money, the ability to borrow and lend money, and token-based investments in assets like cryptocurrencies. Additionally, a non-transferable governance token, which will also be included in the platform, enabling users to take part in decision-making. The platform intends to incorporate US-pegged stablecoins into its ecosystem as a part of its mission to encourage their use. However, talks about the project's possible effects on the DeFi industry have begun. There's a growing talk of potential partnerships with the popular DeFi protocol Ava. According to some reports, World Liberty Financials might be built on Ethereum network. Nobody knows, people are guessing. Trump's adoption of these innovations in technologies may indicate a change in how he views the financial sector. Support and criticism from crypto communities. Notably, reactions to Trump's entry inside the crypto space has had its conflicting issues. Critiquing his pledge to create a more transparent regulation, fire SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, who pressured enforcement actions against major cryptocurrency firms, many in the community have voiced his support. However, some have greater doubts about the timing and motivations of World Liberty Financial. Nick Carter, a Trump supporter and a partner of Castle Island Ventures, expressed concerns about the project. He called it a possible blunder and hinted that Trump's team might be cashing in on his recent involvement in cryptocurrencies. Carter added a warning, saying that this might jeopardize the goodwill Trump has established inside the crypto industry. Furthermore, questions have been raised regarding the project's security after hackers posted phony links to the platform on X accounts on Trump's daughter, Tiffany, and daughter-in-law, Laura. Cybersecurity concerns and the upcoming election. On the other hand, many cybersecurity incidents have marred the run-up to the launch. The official World Liberty Financial Telegram group blasted scams and fake advertisements on August 30th, hoping to capitalize on the project's increasing buzz. So already, apparently, scammers have been able to infiltrate the Telegram group of World Financial Liberty. Restore the Republic RTR, a newly released, essentially. Sorry about that part. Furthermore, given that the project was released just 50 days prior to the US presidential elections, some have questioned the timing of it due to Trump's dual focus of World Liberty Financials and his political campaign. There were worries that the project could divert attention from his re-election campaign. Trump is still optimistic about the project's ability to change the financial landscape in spite of these obstacles. Now, the first time I heard about the World Liberty Financial project, I said, typically inside hear me out. I think Trump is an incredible person to run a country and an economy. If you want somebody to run a country, you need a businessman who understands business. Some people might say, well, yes, he's essentially pleaded 6 times into bankruptcy. Do you know bankruptcy in the eyes of the retail section is a big deal? The retail section will think bankruptcy, no, that's a bad thing, and so on. In the eyes of Trump's peers, bankruptcy is a common thing. People around Trump probably had bankruptcies 12 times, 22 times. They couldn't care less. They still have money. Bankruptcy is actually used as a loophole to hide the rest of your money and to be able for you to use it, essentially. So in the retail section, bankruptcy is seen as a major bad flaw. In their world, bankruptcy is just another Friday or another Monday. You could just hide your transactions and assets and say bankrupt, and then apparently start over with the assets you already have. So don't think bankruptcy is a bad thing. So regarding Trump, I think he's going to be a great leader in terms of a country and be able to lead things and so on. So I'm with him there. 100% I'm with him there. Kamala is a pretty much useless person. So is Joe Biden, absolutely useless. And everybody else on their side, completely useless. Now, putting that to one side, this crypto project, that's World Liberty Financial, I said I will treat it as I do always with any other crypto asset, any other crypto project that I do come across, which is what are they trying to build? Who are they working with? And are they going to be here in 5 years' time? Who are they working with is, are they contracted out to any major establishment, any major institution, knowing that it's Trump's son? Maybe there's some major institutions involved, some contract play involved, and so on, to add value to the project. So for me, it's always, what are they building? Who are they working with? And is it going to be here in 5 years' time? Pretty much. So I'm going to treat it the same way I do with any other crypto project. So I'm not going to be coming out the gates and saying, this is amazing. You know, Trump is doing this project. Everybody should go towards it. No. Again, you know, Trump, amazing person, great leader for a country. But I'm still going to treat his crypto project from his son the same way I treat any other crypto project. I'm not going to be walking in blind. So once it does get released, I'll take a look into it and give my perspective on the matter. I hope it does excellent, and I hope everybody that goes into towards that project, World Financial Liberty, makes a lot of money for themselves, not financial advice in any sort of a way. But if you do go towards it, I hope you do very well for yourself. But me personally, I'm going to treat it like I do with any other crypto project. Celebrity projects tend to do well. If you've been inside the crypto space for a very long time, you know for a fact that celebrity projects do the worst. Genuinely, the worst is celebrity projects. But either way, I always treat every project like I normally do, which is what are they building, who are they working with, and are they going to be here in 5 years' time? So once that project gets released on the 16th, I'm definitely going to be reading up onto it. I'm definitely going to see what they're trying to be building, who they're working with, and are they going to be in 5 years' time, and then give you my perspective on this live show. And if you want to do your own research as well, go check them out when they do open up at the 16th. Now, moving on from World Liberty Financials, which is going to be, in their words, disrupting the banking system, which is not good for his campaign right now, going up against the banks, to be fairly honest as well. Maybe he should have released World Financial Liberty after he becomes president, so it doesn't affect his campaign, because if scammers or hackers get involved in that crypto project, things go south, his campaign could go south. If people get scammed on World Financial Liberty because of scammers and hackers, that's bad for his campaign. I personally think, before moving on, I personally think he should have waited, his son should have waited for him to become president and then release that project. Because they're going to release on the 16th. If hackers or scammers comprehend this software some sort of a way, get involved inside it some sort of a way, and scam people on that platform, it's going to damage his political campaign. So his son is putting his father's political campaign at risk by launching this project too early. Because on the 30th, essentially, because it states here on the 30th of August, the Telegram group for the World Liberty Financials was already infiltrated by scammers and hackers. Obviously, they got rid of the scammers and hackers, but it was infiltrated once on Telegram, where scammers and hackers were able to get inside the Telegram group and post fake links for people to click on and lose money. So this happened once. Scammers and hackers getting involved, it happened once. So hoping that this, essentially, I'm hoping that his son, Trump's son, doesn't jeopardize his father's political campaign with this crypto project. I'm genuinely hoping that Trump's son doesn't jeopardize his father's political campaign because of a crypto project, the World Financial Liberty. That scammers and hackers, because if they get involved in that project and it goes south, it's going to hurt his political campaign. Because I can see it already. If any scammers or hackers hack anybody in that group, I can see it already. Kamala Harris is going to be coming out and saying, oh, well, Trump's scamming everybody, his family's scamming everybody inside the crypto space. And in reality, it's not. It's hackers. But they're not going to tell you it's hackers scamming people. They're going to say Trump's family is scamming people. It's not Trump's family. It's the scammers and hackers. But the issue is the news won't tell you that part. The news will just blast it everywhere. Trump's family stealing people's crypto money. So I'm genuinely hoping that his son, Trump's son, knows what he's doing with releasing this program so early that if it goes south, it's jeopardizing his father's campaign as becoming the next president. And then we're going to be stuck with Kamala Harris, who is absolutely useless head to toe. So, Trump's son, I hope you don't jeopardize his campaign. The timing is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Wait at least for your father to become president and then introduce the program. Now, Tether is what we're going to talk about next. Tether hires PayPal government affairs because the US is looking into Tether. Remember when Brad did an interview, essentially a while ago. Brad did a podcast interview, and Ripple's CEO, essentially, and he said that he's looking into, and he said that Tether is being looked into by US authorities. Brad essentially said that Tether is being looked into by US authorities And then Tether responded on X saying, why is the Ripple CEO, Brad, saying that Tether's been investigated when we're not? It turns out Tether is being investigated because Tether has just hired PayPal's government affairs because they're being investigated by the US. They're being scrutinized, in their words, by the US. Before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. I currently understand that going bankrupt is normal for these people. However, the people that they go bankrupt on hurt badly. Get hurt badly is, yeah, that's true, Butch, very true. I was just about to say that. Do it after the election. Terrible thing. Facts. Regarding some absolute facts. Pegs, let's go facts. Wake your eyes. Roy, how you doing? Wake your eyes at work. Open your ears. Just stop it. Donald Trump does not. Donald Trump. Okay. Wording is a slight issue for Roy. Wake up. Wake your eyes up. No, wake your eyes at work. Okay. Ray, are you trying to give out some sort of an insult at Donald Trump? If you are trying to, Ray, give some sort of an insult towards Donald Trump, please write your sentence properly, at least so I can read it. Wake your eyes at work, open your ears. Just stop it. Donald Trump does that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. He is a felon and gets away with it. That's what's wrong with America, or courts do nothing. It shows about courts or courts like watches. Roy. Now I'm saying it wrong because I've read that wrong. Roy, not Ray. Roy. Welcome to the world of politicians. Not saying Donald Trump is not committed things in his life. Of course, yes. Nobody's perfect. Roy, I'm guessing you're not perfect either because you can't spell or write. So Roy, nobody's perfect in life. And everybody has done things that they've messed up on. Comparing the other side, I mean, politicians in general don't have good track records. So Trump's felony compared to the politicians that he's going up against, please. Politicians are no angels. Kamala Harris, Sleepy Joe, Obama, Hillary Clinton, the absolute lot of them will come out and claim to be angels. We've never done anything. Trump is the felon here. We haven't done anything. Please, you're a politician. You're crooked head to toe. So here's the thing, Roy. First, learn to spell or put a sentence together. Second, don't essentially assume, this person is bad just because of one felony, which wasn't even a major felony at all. And I'm not saying what he did was right. Committing a felony is wrong in general. But there's limits. Okay, he didn't do what essentially, I can't say certain words on this live, but essentially, Roy, it's politicians, okay? There's a businessman who's committed a business felon, and then you have a group of politicians who are acting like angels. Politicians are crooked people. They have money shoved up everywhere. They're greedy people. They're hungry people. So don't pretend, Trump's the villain here when the rest are absolutely no angels. Because Roy, and honestly, you've got to realize it's a businessman who's committed a felon versus a room full of politicians. Who do you think is more crooked? One businessman or a room full of politicians? I can tell you for a fact, the room full of politicians are more dodgy than one businessman. Now, that was supposed to be a terrible timing. Couldn't see what I was writing. It's a joke. Now, Tether. Tether hires. Roy, I'm only trying to tell you this. So, Roy, I wasn't trying to offend you in any sort of a way. I'm just trying to tell the truth regarding politicians. So if you took offense of what I said, I wasn't trying to offend you. I'm just telling you the truth. A room full of politicians are more dodgy than one businessman. Anyone with common sense can see that. Tether hires PayPal government because they are being essentially scrutinized. even though Tether claimed for a very, very, very long time they're not being looked into by the government, by the US government. The world's leading stablecoin issuer brought on Jesse Supero. I agree with you 100%. Let's go, Mike. Sorry I'm late, but hello, people. Sempre, good to see you. How you doing? The world's leading stablecoin issuer brought on Jesse Supero, who has previously handled government interactions for chain analysis and PayPal. So it turns out Tether is being very, very, very looked into. Tether hired a government affairs veteran from PayPal and chain analysis, Jesse Supero, to head its own shop as the issuer of leading USDT stablecoin, has long been under a cloud of reported US investigations. Supero comes straight from PayPal, where he spent a few years as chief regulatory relations in his blockchain and digital currencies arm. Well, he tried to offend you. Well, I'm not trying to offend Roy because I don't need to offend anybody. It's always better to be the bigger person in the scenario. Always be the better person. So Tether plays a significant role in the current and future deployment and developments of digital economies and US dollar homology. So Supero, who has also run government affairs at blockchain analytics firms Chain Analysis, said in a Friday statement, essentially, the ever-evolving legislative and regulatory landscapes will continue to require strong collaboration between the public and private sectors. Tether has reportedly been the subject of US federal investigations, though the probes haven't yet produced any criminal or regulatory action against the company. Ripple's CEO Brad has openly speculated about Tether getting a hit by US authorities, though Tether's CEO pushed back on the vulnerabilities and further underlined the very public showing of an aid the company has been giving to the US authorities pursuing criminals, which is factual. Brad, as I said, Brad, the Ripple CEO, did a podcast interview where he said, when he was asked the question of, is anybody being investigated? And Brad, the CEO of Ripple, said, Tether is being investigated, where Tether's CEO then went to X and said, as a message to Brad, why are you spewing lies? In other words, Tether is not being investigated. What are you talking about, essentially? Which then essentially led up to, fast forward to today, where Tether is now hiring a whole new team because they're actually being investigated by the US. Meanwhile, some jurisdictions globally have begun to establish stablecoin regulation, but the US has fallen behind as Congress can't manage to make their headways on legislations that has from time to time been flirted with bipartisan support. Also, to add more on top of that, Tether, when he pushed back against the Ripple CEO for stating Tether's been investigated, Tether responded with, we're helping the US government. Tether actually responded with, we're working alongside US authorities. We're stopping criminals on USDT. Why are you lying about Tether being investigated? To what Ripple CEO said, Tether's being investigated. So Tether actually said, we're working with US agencies, we're stopping crime on USDT. We're not being investigated, which turns out they are. Republican and Democrat lawmakers have been at odds over the proper role of Federal Reserves and state regulators and essentially policing the tokens, which are meant to track a steady asset, generally the US dollar, and private stability in interactions with other more volatile elements of crypto markets. While US legislation has made some progress in the Republican majority House of Representatives, its fate is uncertain in the more reluctant Democratic-controlled Senate. The US efforts have generally essentially complicated a highly regulated future for stablecoins, including some of the US registrations and oversights, which could be at odds with Tether's offshore business model. Jesse Appoints reinforces Tether's commitment to responsible innovation and leadership in the digital asset space, said CEO Paolo in a statement. Okay, just want to point out one thing. Okay, Binance. When Binance started getting investigated, by the US, obviously we all know how that ended, $4 billion, CEO in prison. Binance also hired a team, a very high-profile executive lawyers from major firms in Wall Street, is what Binance did. Binance hired a former CFTC member, a former SEC member, a former this member, and former that member, all US-related government high-profile jobs, started working in Binance The moment Binance started getting investigated, that happened. Binance started going on a hiring spree, hiring former SEC members, former CFTC members, former US government members, anybody that Binance could get their hands on, they were grabbing them, making them work for Binance. And the end result was Binance got investigated, $4 billion fine, CEO in prison. Tether is now being investigated because Tether is now starting their hiring process of hiring former high-profile executive members of law firms and so on. So is the ending of Tether going to be similar to the ending of Binance? Is it just going to be a new CEO, or is it going to be goodbye USDT? Time will tell on that one. The roadmap seems very similar, though. The roadmap, step by step, seems very similar to Binance's situation when they started hiring former members. Of course, 100%, but sometimes people need to hear it. The Trump, I agree with JP. The Trump syndrome is alive and well. Yeah. So inside the AI space, if you are inside the AI space or inside the blockchain space, you might have heard of somebody called the godfather of AI. It's a real person. I'm not making things up. The godfather of AI is, I forgot his full name, but if you just type in Google, the godfather of AI, he will come up on Google. And he's a man that's worked on a lot of AI projects and therefore known as the godfather of AI. This man has done meetings with prime ministers and presidents around the country, around the world, essentially, talking to these prime ministers and presidents, telling them about AI, AI safety, AI regulations, and how AI should be monitored. So therefore, he's known as the godfather of AI. He's worked at Google before and ChatGPT, so he's had a very high-profile life. Now we're going to be talking about somebody I've never heard of, and it's the first time I'm hearing about it, the godmother of AI. So we know who the godfather of AI is, but this time we're talking about the godmother of AI. So the godmother of AI launches World Labs with $230 million fundings at a $1 billion valuation. Her company already has a $1 billion valuation. Her funding is at $230 million, and she's the godmother of AI. The artificial intelligence startup, World Labs, announced its official launch today. The firm is reportedly valued over $1 billion and has raised more than $230 million in fundings to build a spectable intelligence system. World Labs was co-founded by Fei Li, the former Google Cloud AI boss. Due to her involvement in much of the foundational research behind modern generative artificial intelligence, Fei Li is often referred to as the godmother of AI. She's also the current co-director of the Stanford Institution Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence. Spectable artificial intelligence. World Labs describes its primary product as large world models, LWMs. In a blog post announcing the company's launch, it pointed out that the current generative AI models can only interact with the world through text, audio, and video, which is true. ChatGPT or Gemini or any sort of AI models we do have right now, Copilot, they can only do it through text, audio, and video. This lady is about to take it to a whole other level. So she said that AI should do more than that. Just interacting through text and video and audio, we should do more than that with AI. Humans, on the other hand, experience the world as three-dimensional, in the three-dimensional space, with physics that relates to the passage of time. She wants to bring AI to life. Have you ever seen that film, I, Robot? Things are going to get very interesting. To advance beyond the capabilities of today's models, the World Labs team wrote, "We need a spatial intelligent AI that can model the world and reason about objects and places and interactions in 3D space and time." World Labs aims to bridge the gap between AI models that interpret the world through a 2D lens, and the artificial agents capable of perceiving 3D worlds by creating and editing virtual space complete with physics and sentiments and control. We hope this will unlock new capabilities for creative users and professionals such as artists, designers, developers, engineers. It will also allow anyone to imagine and create their own worlds, expanding the potential of generative AI from 2D images and videos to 3D worlds. Metaverse, the entire concept, appears to be a reverse metaverse for AI. In the human world, enterprise metaverse technology is often used as a training tool to prepare employees for work in hazardous environments. The advent of AI model capable of exploring the real world or the metaverse equivalent could lead to a more intelligent models in nearly every domain, with high impact possible in the areas of robotics and virtual worlds. Ultimately, it appears as though the company is working towards the development of an AI model capable of generating entire 3D virtual worlds, such as video game environments, with the same power and efficiency that modern LLMs, such as ChatGPT, generate text. So the godmother of AI is about to be topping everything. If you think AI is impressive right now with their 2D capabilities, apparently, the godmother of AI is about to be introducing 3D capabilities, where AI comes to life, where AI understands the passage of time, where AI has a spirituality going on about it. Yeah, she's about to bring AI to life. She wants to take AI from our computer screens and our phone screens and bring them to life. It's like a mixture of iRobot and the other film with, I think it's called Eagle Eye, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she's about to bring everything back to life, basically. It's going to be a very interesting world as we progress moving forward. Very interesting world. Moving on from the godmother of AI to MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy adds 18,300 Bitcoins to its Bitcoin reserves at these prices, which is an indication of he has very good confidence inside the market space. Bitcoin development MicroStrategy has expanded its portfolios with an additional 18,300 Bitcoins, valued at $1.1 billion. MicroStrategy has just bought $1.1 billion of Bitcoin. The new purchase was made at an average cost of $60,408 per coin. $60,408 per coin. MicroStrategy's executive chairman, Michael Saylor, given the update earlier today, he was very ecstatic. MicroStrategy is increasing BTC holdings, according to Saylor. The company achieved BTC yield of 4.4% this quarter and 17% year to date. The latest purchase pushed the company's total Bitcoin holdings to 244,800 Bitcoins, acquired for approximately $9.45 billion at a roughly 38,585 per coin. MicroStrategy began purchasing a leading digital asset back in 2020 and has continued on so. On different occasions, MicroStrategy issued convertible senior notes as debt offerings to buy more Bitcoin. Last month, MicroStrategy expanded its reserves, acquiring 12,222 Bitcoins, valued at about $805 million, was its last month purchase. Recent data from Bitcoin's treasury reveals that MicroStrategy is the world's largest Bitcoin holder among all publicly traded corporations. Its share price is also one of the best performings on the Wall Street. As of this writing, MSTR, which is MicroStrategy, MSTR on the stock market is trading at 141.5 cents, surging by 7.86% in the past day. MicroStrategy's influence in Bitcoin holders. Saylor's consistent advocacy in terms of for BTC has drawn new buyers onto the network. One of the most consistent buyers today is the Japanese investment firm Metaplanet. Japanese investment firm Metaplanet is a company that I talked about when they first essentially initialed this plan. MicroStrategy has genuinely left a blueprint of their footsteps behind them, which two companies in Canada who were scientific companies, picked it up, that blueprint, and started buying Bitcoin. A company essentially in Japan by the name of Metaplanet started buying Bitcoin and following the footsteps of MicroStrategy. To raise funds from the firm, specially provided details of its 11th series of stock acquisition rights. According to the details, the delivery of shares will commence on September 18th, after shareholders are notified of this exercise. Bitcoin recovers slightly. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's price appears to be recovering following the weeks of intense fluctuations. BTC is trading at $59,779 at press time, demonstrating a 3% increase in the past day. However, the trading volume decreased by 2.14% in the past day to $30.9 billion. I mean, this man is still buying Bitcoin no matter what the price is pretty much sitting at. It's people like MicroStrategy and MicroStrategy's company and their thought process that if Bitcoin does a slight dip, MicroStrategy is buying. The reason why, as I said a very, very long time ago, that you'll never see $10,000 Bitcoins pretty much ever again, unless we get in crazy market manipulation. The reason why people never saw $10,000 Bitcoins again, or they never saw $15,000 Bitcoins again, or they never saw $20,000 Bitcoins again, or $30,000. The reason why people don't see these low prices on Bitcoin is because of companies like MicroStrategy. No matter what the price is, this guy is buying. He's buying not in millions, sometimes billions. He's buying at $60,000 per coin. He's dropping 1.1 billion on the market. On the other side of the world, we also have the Japanese company, Metaplanet, buying over there as well, no matter what the price is, because they're following MicroStrategy's footprint. We have two scientific companies in Canada, no matter what the price is, they're buying also. We have pension funds in South Korea, one of the biggest pension funds in the world. They're buying Bitcoin no matter what the price is. We have pension funds in Wisconsin that are buying Bitcoin pretty much no matter what the price is. We have New Jersey's pension funds. There's so many pension funds, so many family businesses, so many mega corporations that are just following the blueprint MicroStrategy left behind, which is buy no matter what the price is. So when everybody was, a very long time ago, everybody was talking about essentially, we're going to do $20,000 Bitcoins and $10,000, and I was the only one that pretty much rejected everybody's opinions. Every influencer's opinion, I pretty much rejected all of them. I said, we're never going to see $10,000, $20,000 Bitcoins. I don't know why people are spewing lies. Because if you understand how corporations work, when they buy something, they don't tend to sell for the next 5 years. Unless some major news breaks out and the asset is absolutely useless, then they start selling. Otherwise, they're holding for a good 5 years. And some corporations don't even care what the price is. They're just buying anyways. They see potential because they're buying it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line. They're not buying it for tomorrow to sell. So with MicroStrategy buying $60,000 Bitcoins or $61,000 Bitcoins and so on at $1.1 billion valuations, because they're looking at it as 10 years down the road, we're going to sell. 15 years down the road, we're going to sell. So if you have companies that are not going to be selling for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, a particular asset, then how do you expect the price down? Well, then how do you expect the price to go down to $10,000 per coin? If you have corporations that are buying at no matter what the price is in billions, and then you have the rest of the corporations that are holding for 5 years minimum to 10 years minimum to 15 years minimum. How do you expect the price of an asset to go down to $10,000? It's just not possible. There's a bit of common sense involved as well. People go, well, I can read charts and I can do this. And yes, but common sense is, is something that you should use no matter what space you're in. Moving on from the MicroStrategy news to Australia on the topic of Bitcoin ETFs. The Australian crypto market. Monochrome's IBTC ETF leads transparency push. Monochrome's Bitcoin ETFs assets under management raises from Australia's AUD $11.4 million to $12 million, reflecting a strong investor interest. So Australia's Bitcoin ETF space wasn't actually doing that well compared to the American market space. But now they're doing slowly, they're picking up in Australian market space. Bitcoin holdings in IBTC ETF increased from 123 to 138, indicating a steady accumulation. Monochrome's partners with Hosky for daily proof of reserves, enhancing transparency in IBTC. The Monochrome's Bitcoin ETF, IBTC, has seen a steady increase in assets, growing from 123 AUD, $11.4 million, to on August 27th to 138 Bitcoins, which is around 12 million Australian dollars by September 12th. 2024. This growth in Bitcoin holdings reflects a strong investment interest and confidence in the ETF space for Australia. The ETF's assets under management fluctuated during this period, mainly due to Bitcoin's price swings. The most significant single-day assets under management increase was on September 3rd, jumping from 11.7 million Australian dollars, alongside the rise of Bitcoin holdings from 126 to 134. The assets under management rose from Australia's $11.4 million on August 27th to September 12th. Monochromes boost transparencies with Hosky partnership. In a move to enhance transparency, Monochrome's asset management has partnered with Hosky to implement a daily proof of reserves verification for the IBTC ETF. This makes it the first Australian spot Bitcoin ETF to offer such a feature. Hosky's verification system will provide independent confirmation on ETF Bitcoin holdings, giving investors real-time assurance of reserves of assets. This step is expected to raise the bar for transparency and trust within Australia's Bitcoin ETF landscape. Monochrome's move towards enhanced transparency, coupled with a steady growth in Bitcoin holdings, signals a position trajectory for Australian Bitcoin ETFs sector. Despite recent market fluctuations, investor confidence in Bitcoin and related investment products like Monochrome's Bitcoin ETF appears to be on the strong hold. So Australia's Bitcoin ETF is starting to slowly start to move, which is good to see. And the reason why they're starting to move is because there's more transparency now, which should be an indication of, one, the confidence coming inside the market space with slow increase, but increase either way. And the transparency has fixed the majority of the issues of the Bitcoin ETF over in Australia, because now they're showing full transparency in real time. Now, that's positive news for Australian market space on their Bitcoin ETF space, because the US is the one leading the positive news on Bitcoin ETFs in general, but it's nice to see over there as well that's happening. Now, moving on from the Australian news regarding Bitcoin ETFs to Ripple. Ripple is a subject that some people hate and some people love. Me, I love Ripple. Regarding what they're trying to achieve, regarding their contracts, regarding their developments, regarding how many money transfer licensings they have, everything they're doing is excellent. Some people might try to criticize me for saying that, but I couldn't care less. Ripple CEO comments on Grayscale's XRP decision, shares prediction. Grayscale, one of the world's financial giants, announced yesterday, as I revealed on this live show, that it would launch the first US XRP trust. This move by Grayscale was interpreted as paving the way for potential spot XRP spot ETF. While Grayscale's XRP move was met with great enthusiasm in the cryptocurrency industry, Ripple CEO Brad also commented on this decision. So Ripple CEO was, in his words, very surprised. Brad shared his views on his X account on this news announcement. He stated that he was surprised to see the news. However, Brad agreed that this development was eventful, considering the prime clarity that XRP has now gained inside the US. According to the Ripple CEO, this move by Grayscale paves the way for further growth of XRP. And he said that XRP's growth is only of a matter of time. XRP, this is words that's coming from Brad. XRP's growth is only a matter of time. Evaluating the latest developments, experts stated that the institution has now turned into a favor of XRP. Experts stated that Grayscale's launch of a trust for a product could pave the way for spot ETFs in the future for XRP. And many people predict that XRP trust could eventually turn into a spot ETF, which is, it's not predicting, it's just what happens. You go into it first as a Bitcoin essentially trust. You start with a Bitcoin trust, you end up with a Bitcoin ETF from Grayscale. You start with an Ethereum trust on Grayscale, you end up with an Ethereum ETF from Grayscale. You get an XRP trust on Grayscale, you end up with an XRP ETF. It's not what you're predicting, it's eventable to happen. It's going to happen either way. Experts stated that Grayscale is now seeing primary drivers for spot ETF offerings in the market, citing Grayscale's Bitcoin and Ethereum products as examples of this situation. Was pleasantly surprised to see this news, though eventful as always. As I've said before, the XRP having regulatory clarity in the US and other countries, I expect it's only a matter of time for this space to grow. A perspective coming from Brad. which is all true. There's nothing to say on the top. There's pretty much nothing to add on top of that. It's all true. The next news on tonight's live show is regarding surprise from the Fed statement. Surprise from the Fed statement from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. The interest rate decision to be announced by the Fed next week is being followed carefully in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets as well as the global markets. While the Fed, which has kept interest rates unchanged for more than a year, is expected to begin a rate reduction cycle in September and make its first rate cut, important statements come from International Monetary Fund IMF spokesperson Julia. Julie, in her press statement, pointed out that the upward risk in inflation inside the US have decreased and said that they think they would be appropriate for the Fed to start cutting interest rates next week, pointing out that the US economy has been remarkably strong over the past few years, and said that inflation reduction process is not as difficult and costly as many fear. As a result of the Fed's efforts, inflation has fallen and is moving towards their 2% target. We expect the core personal consumption expenditure inflation in the country to be around 2.5% by the end of this year, and we expect inflation to reach its targets by the middle of next year, stating that they think it's appropriate for the Fed to start the rate cut cycle according to the date and the current situation. However, although the upside risk has decreased, they have completely disappeared. They have not completely disappeared. At this point, the Fed needs to adjust the pace and scope out the rate cuts according to the future economic data. While it's almost certain that the Fed will cut interest rates next week, according to the Fed Watchdog, that a 25 basis point cut is priced at 57% happening, and a 50 basis point cut is priced at 43% chance of happening. In general, the Fed, they have been stretching this story, and this is a statement coming from the International Monetary Fund. The Fed has been stretching the idea of, are we going to have rate cuts? Are we not going to have rate cuts? So, very soon they have to introduce some sort of rate cuts. Very soon they have to. Because if they keep on stretching and stretching and stretching it, that bubble is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to burst very bad. So, stretching it too long, it's going to end very bad. The bubble's just going to get bigger and burst by itself. So, start introducing at least small rate cuts to bring down the situation. Not aggressive, but small. Bridging the gap is what we're going to talk about next. Bridging the gap, public and private collaboration in digital asset innovation. This is what Ripple has released on their own website today. Today, Ripple essentially released this on their own website, which is bridging the gap between the public and private collaboration in digital asset innovation. And some big names are sitting at that table. Effective regulation of digital assets requires active dialogue between regulators and market participants, leveraging the strengths of both the public and private sectors. The public sectors provides the necessary regulatory frameworks to ensure innovations in digital assets are secure and transparent and compliant, fostering trust among investors, businesses, and consumers. Meanwhile, the private sector, with its technical expertise and ability to quickly adapt to new technologies, is at the forefront of innovation. Companies in digital asset space like Ripple develop the underlying infrastructure that supports the new cases and applications of blockchain technology. Collaboration with public sector ensures that this innovation develops in its alignment with regulatory standards and public knowledge for sharing and resource pooling. Working together, governments and private companies can better address shared challenges around interoperability, security, and scalability, which are critical for widespread adoption of digital assets. That is why Ripple prioritizes engagements at key public and private forums like Point Zero Forum. Initiative of LVD and the Swiss state essentially secretaries for international finance. Point Zero Forum convinces central bank, regulators, policymakers, and industry leaders to address the latest developments in the financial technology in the future of finance. This year, Ripple partnered with TRM Labs and Circle, with the support of Everyday and Ecosystem, to host two public and private roundtables discussing topics of critical importance for the industry: regulations around decentralized finance and the future of digital payments. The next frontier: frameworks for DeFi governance and regulations. This is what they're going to be doing. This roundtable, hosted in partnership with TRM Labs and Ecosystem, discussed the evolving landscape of decentralized finance, governance, and regulations, and included participants from regulatory and standard-setting bodies, including, so who was sitting at the first roundtable with Ripple, discussing finance, discussing digital payments, DeFi space, decentralized finance, in other words? It was the Bank of Lithuania, the Banque de France, the Bank of International Settlements, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and the OECD, first table levels. Industry representatives include the Cambridge Centre of Alternative Finance, Global Blockchain Business Council, International Capital Market Association, and Uniswap Labs. They're all sitting at one table alongside Ripple. Ripple is doing this event. While there are increasing global discussions on DeFi regulations driven by bodies like the International Organization of Security Commissions, the IOSCO, and the Monetary Authority of Singapore, there remain challenges and opportunities when it comes to developing frameworks for oversight and compliance in DeFi. The key points that emerged from this discussion were: global framework for DeFi. The absence of universally recognized definition of DeFi has led to confusion and inconsistency in regulatory approaches. Participants emphasized that the need for flexible, nuanced approach to developing a global DeFi taxonomy. While there are more ongoing efforts to collaborate with DeFi developers to address regulatory and technical challenges, achieving a global consensus remains difficult. 2. Regulatory challenges in DeFi. The decentralized nature of DeFi, coupled with the global disparity in regulatory understandings, possesses such significant challenges for regulations. Smart contracts with improved efficiency by eliminating traditional intermediaries and automating certain tasks can complicate accountability and enforcement. Participants stress the need for enhanced international cooperation to address these issues and prevent regulatory arbitrary. In Ripple's words, smart contracts are a slight red flag situation right now. Hence why smart contract capabilities on XRP Ledger pretty much has never been that much of a present situation. And once it was just about to, which then it became not to, because stating today on their own website, smart contracts are seeing slight of a red flag situation by quite a lot of organization governments because of accountability issues. Public and private partnerships. Effective regulations of DeFi requires collaboration between regulators and industry players, which is crucial due to the DeFi borderless nature. Initiatives that build regulatory capacity and leverage blockchain's transparency for oversight are key to ensuring that public-private corporations can drive innovation while ensuring compliance and protecting consumers. So being under the law, having regulations in place is a massive goal, massive green light. Balancing innovation and regulation. Participants also discussed how DeFi participants are integrating compliance measures such as blockchain analytics and token screening. By the way, this is all the conversation that happened behind closed doors that Ripple is revealing to everybody now on their own website. So even in the absence of specific regulations, there's a potential for technological innovations to enhance compliance, emphasizing the importance of balance and regulatory objectives within the open nature of DeFi. Governance shift from centralized to decentralized finance was another topic discussed. The shift towards decentralized governance and finance is transforming traditional systems, with projects like Enbridge leading the way. Participants noted that understanding and adapting to these new governance models is critical for regulators and financial institutions, and collaborations between DeFi experts and regulators can lead to more effective governance frameworks. There is a clear need for global harmonization in DeFi regulations, underscoring the importance of public and private partnerships with continuous developments of regulatory frameworks to adapt to the rapidly changing landscape. re-architecturing the financial system, digital payments. Again, these are topics that were discussed behind closed doors that Ripple's revealing on their own website today. This roundtable, so that was the first roundtable discussions that we just discussed. That was the first roundtable that they did. The second roundtable we're about to go through now. The first roundtable was Banque de France, Bank of Lithuania, Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, and a few other organizations with Ripple around one table. And that was what they discussed. This is the second table that Ripple did now. And this was Ripple's, in other words, Ripple's own event roundtable. And Banque de France was there, Bank of Lithuania, Bank of International Settlements. I mean, the list of organizations and governments, I mean, it's just incredible. This is the second table now. Re-architecturing the financial system, digital payments. This roundtable, hosted in partnership with Circle and Ecosystems, bringing together participants, including, this is the second roundtable, the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, Bank of Canada, Bank of Thailand, CFTE, JP Morgan, UBS Group, explored the challenges and innovations in digital payment landscapes, with a focus on integrating blockchain-based digital money into existing global payment systems. The key points that emerged from this discussion were, and again, I'm about to tell you what happened behind closed doors. Did you hear that list of Ripple's roundtable? JP Morgan, UBS Bank, Bank of Canada, Bank of Thailand. This was the second roundtable. The first roundtable was incredibly impressive as well. Bank of International Settlements, Bank of France, I mean, the second table is even more impressive, all alongside as impressive. So these are the things that they discussed behind the closed doors at this roundtable. The evolving digital payments landscape. Digital payments are transforming how transactions are conducted, with a shift from traditional cash and card systems to more efficient and secure digital wallets, blockchain-based solutions. Major financial institutions are adopting digital coins and tokenized deposits to enhance liquidity and enable around-the-clock transactions. The future of digital payments is expected to involve a mix of solutions combining traditional and new technologies. Challenges in cross-border payments. Participants highlighted efficiencies in cross-border payments. This was excellent that Ripple did this, because Ripple's getting direct feedback from banks, government organizations, financial departments at the same table. Participants highlighted inefficiencies in cross-border payments, which are traditionally handled by established banks using bilateral relationships. This system introduces delays and costs that impact businesses and consumers. Blockchain-based digital payments offers a potential of a solution by reducing friction and costs through further research and developments and deployments that are needed to fully understand the potential. Integration and interoperability. A significant focus of the discussion was on how to integrate blockchain-based digital money into existing payment infrastructures. Ensuring interoperability between different forms of digital money is essential, as is the need for collaboration to influence policy and improve the success of digital payments. Participants discussed the best practices for integration and continued to emphasize the importance of public and private relationships in the driving innovation and regulatory compliance. Global perspectives and future trends. The global digital payments market is projected to reach $6.6 trillion in 2025, a shift towards a cashless transaction. However, participants noted that while domestic payment systems have improved, cross-border payment systems haven't. And essentially, they were too expensive. Therefore, blockchain solution. The future will likely involve a combination of new traditional systems to address these challenges. There is a clear need for continued collaboration between regulators and financial institutions and technology providers to navigate the complexities of digital payments. Innovation and interoperability and regulatory compliance will be critical in shaping the future of global finance. Building the future, building for the future. As evidence from these roundtables, discussions of public and private collaborations is essential for substantial growth and innovation of digital assets and blockchain applications. By combining the regulatory oversight and stability of the public sector with the agility and technological prowess of the private sector, these partnerships create a fertile ground for innovation and ensure that the advancements in digital assets are not only cutting edge, but also secure, compliant, and aligned with broader economic and societal goals. As digital assets landscape continues to evolve, the collaboration between public and private entities will be key to unlocking its full potential, driving financial inclusion, and shaping the future of global finance. Ripple looks forward to continuing these discussions with key stakeholders so that we can continue to create the building blocks for global regulatory frameworks. That is incredible, immense. I mean, there's no word, there's no way I could describe. I mean, JP Morgan, Bank of International Settlements, Bank of France, Bank of Canada, I mean, the list just goes on. They were all sitting at the same table with Ripple behind closed doors. And Ripple just released what they talked about on their own website today. I will put the link from Ripple's own website of what I just read out to you in the Telegram group of this live show. They were sitting at a round table, 2 round tables. First one was Bank of International Settlements, Bank de France, Bank of Lithuania, Bank of this, Bank of that, this organization. Second round table, JP Morgan, Bank of Canada, Bank of Thailand, Bank of Australia. I mean, the list just went on. It was Ripple and all these massive groups of incredible governments and banks and so on sitting at the same table discussing finance behind closed doors. And people say Ripple has no future. Of course it doesn't. By the way, that's sarcastic. If you think Ripple has no future, I feel sorry for you. I mean, at best, I genuinely feel sorry for you. That is incredible news. And thank you to Ripple for sharing with everyone what they talked about behind closed doors. Genuinely. Because otherwise, we would have never known that Ripple sat alongside Bank of France, Bank of Canada, Bank of Australia, JP Morgan around the same table discussing these matters. We would have never known this if Ripple didn't publicly say on their website about the roundtables they had of discussing the future of finance with governments and banks at the same table. So, let's go inside the comment section. There's a few weirdos inside the comment section. We're Bull Run Slot. Jim, do you give it a bit of time? Hi, family. Sorry I'm late. Just catching up with my guys. Good to see you, Miles, listening for the Facts News. Thanks in advance for your hard work. Cole, thanks so much for the kind words. Sir, did you consume? Who's this person? Block this person. I keep hearing interviews with lawyers and not influencers that if SEC wanted to finish this matter, they would have taken the settlement from Ripple and they are going to appeal it. If they appeal it, they'll get rejected. Most likely they won't appeal it. If Gary Gensler has any set of brain cells left, appealing it is a bad idea for them. The part they want to appeal for the case was XRP's title. They can't. And now that they've justified tokens on securities, they can't appeal anything. There's not even a point of appealing at all. Who is this person making this stupid? I don't know, but I blocked him, by the way. At some point, it has to become obvious what Ripple is doing. A troll looking for attention, pretty much what Carl said. Facts. So, that is the biggest news you could have probably heard today regarding the roundtables that Ripple had with centralized banks and JP Morgan, Bank of America, Bank of Canada, Bank of France, and Bank of International Settlements, all around the same table discussing the future of finance, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible, behind closed doors. Which I'll put that link inside the Telegram group of tonight's live show. And we've also reached the ending of tonight's live show as well. We've just pretty much reached the endings of tonight's live show. This was the CMF live show, stands for Crypto Mouse Family. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a like, drop a comment. If you're watching us on X, if you're not following me, follow me on X. If you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, subscribe to me on YouTube. And this was CMF Live Show. You can tune into this live show every single night. I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, and regulations. And get involved inside the comment section as well. We do a lot of Q&As. So, in on tonight's live show, we went through Ripple, essentially news on their own website, which I read out to you, which I'll put inside the Telegram group. Or a member of the CMF moderators will probably put inside the Telegram group. By the way, our Telegram group is free if anybody wants to join. It's completely free for life. Everybody's very respectful inside of it. We talked about Ripple on the roundtables they had behind closed doors. We talked about Australia in terms of the crypto markets. We talked about on tonight's live show regarding MicroStrategy in terms of their new purchasing power. We talked about the godmother of AI on tonight's live show. We also talked about Tether actually being investigated, according to Tether themselves now. We talked about Donald Trump's essentially son's crypto platform on tonight's live show. We talked about the real world assets of essentially a perspective coming from Binance's report. We talked about also on tonight's live show, another amazing news that we went for on tonight's live show was also essentially the $360 billion asset management firm, Jonas Henderson, and a few other CEOs on what they said to Wall Street, which if you haven't rewatched the live show, if you missed the beginning parts of the live show, absolutely amazing. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding the SEC softening on their regulation policy of the SAB 121, which is pretty much the Banking Act, where banks aren't allowed to hold too many cryptocurrencies and get asking too many questions. We talked about essentially Coinbase's CLO pointing out that the SEC in the Binance case has just said cryptocurrencies are not securities. And the SEC has actually apologized for the confusion they've caused over the years, saying cryptocurrencies are securities. Apparently, according to the SEC now, tokens are not securities. The characteristics around the token can make it a security. So according to the SEC before, the token itself was security. Now it's the characteristics around it. And the SEC is apologizing for the confusion after all these years. And we also talked about BlackRock's perspective on rate cuts. So if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like. Absolutely amazing news we talked about, honestly, regarding the Wall Street news and the Ripple news and the SEC eating their own words. Amazing day. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like. If you're watching this on X, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe if you already haven't. Follow me on X if you already haven't. And comment after the live show as well. Helps with the algorithm to grow this live show even more, grow this family even more. Thank you, Miles, for keeping us updated. Take care and see you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Miles, you not read my comments, brother? Callie, I saw your comment. You said you not read my comment. I think godmother of AI want to rise with the real creator. Is that what you said? I think I read that one, no? If I didn't, apologies. Your previous comment was, Miles, did you be into the gym this morning? If it's not you, you have a double low. That was a previous comment. Before that, it was good evening, Miles of CMF. I've read all your comments. I heard that Trump refuses any debate with Kamala now. You heard that Trump refuses any debate with Kamala. I'm doubtful for that, but I mean, it's understandable. I mean, it's 3 versus 1. It's 3 versus 1, the last debate. Thank you, Miles, for keeping us updated. No, Mike, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Orphan, good night and day to CMF. Thanks, Miles. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. Thanks, Miles, for your hard work. I truly mean it. You do a great work to educate and share valuable news with us. We won't die stupid for sure. Time to turn off my CMF TV. Call, let's go. See you tomorrow sometime as usual. Because of Biden, too many recently Trump 2024. Okay. Thanks, Miles. Stormy, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Good night, everyone. Stormy, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Thanks for all the great info. It was great live as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Jason, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Sorry about that. No problem, Cut anytime. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow. Same time as usual. Yes, Trump said he doesn't want a second debate. Makes sense. It was genuinely 3 guests won in the first debate. I think the only way Trump should do a debate with Kamala, if the moderators are non-biased, which isn't too much to ask for in a political campaign situation. Miles, bring up the other issues and just make people aware before the live ends. Yes, regarding your crypto assets being held on wallets, it's a good idea to safeguard yourself, not click on, as I was revealing yesterday regarding McAfee and your securities issues. To always keep your assets safe, it's better to have multiple wallets or even opt in for a paper wallet to keep your assets even more safe inside the crypto space. Hacking and scamming is taking a whole other route, and governments do have the capabilities through Ledger and Tangent to cause some sort of an issue for your wallets. So better to have multiple wallets to always safeguard yourself, which I've always said. And paper wallets is also a good option to look into as well. So now we've come to the endings of tonight's live show. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. And yeah, that Ripple news was absolutely amazing.